highly irresponsible and destabilizing Indian actions and statements. We look forward to answering any questions after the briefing ends. Let me start by reiterating that Pakistan condemns terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. No cause or objective can possibly justify taking lives of innocent people. This is the national policy, and this is the Islamic policy. Killing of a human being tantamount, as per Quran, killing of the entire humanity. And saving a life tantamounts to saving the entire humanity. So we believe in that. Let me say that targeting of innocent civilians is surely deplorable and condemnable. And this is happening in many parts of the world, and we have been subscribing our views and our policy everywhere it happens. We are concerned over the loss of lives during the Pahalgam attack. We also extended our condolences. Being a victim of terrorism itself, no one can feel the pain of those impacted by this scourge like Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, as the member of the UN Security Council, Pakistan constructively engaged with the other members on the press statement which is issued by the UN Security Council on the Pahalgam incident in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The UN Security Council statement contains condemnation in the strongest possible terms of the incident. On the other hand, it is India that glorifies and even celebrates its assassination campaign and sponsoring of terrorism in Pakistan and other countries. No other country has sacrificed as much as Pakistan, nor suffered so much due to terrorism. More than 80,000 lives have been sacrificed. Economic losses of about over $150 billion have been incurred. And in totality, the impact, the economic and the indirect losses add up to close to $500 billion. We have been working closely with the international community to address this common threat. Since 22nd of April, Foreign Office has been actively involved and in interacting with the international community. At least a dozen foreign ministers, deputy prime ministers, and the Prime Minister, I have been in touch and have discussed and explained the situation. And I'm sure, you being from the media must be already up to date, because MOFA as a policy, after each interaction with any dignitary, we make a very brief statement as to that interaction. The countless sacrifices made by our valiant law enforcement agencies as well as common citizens have helped address the threat of terrorism and contributed towards regional and international peace and stability. In fact, Pakistan has been a victim of terrorism that is planned, orchestrated, and sponsored by India. In this backdrop, it is preposterous to even suggest any kind of association of Pakistan with this incident. The hype that is created on each and every incident in India seems to be deliberate and choreographed. It is unfortunate that India continues to weaponize unsubstantiated accusations and allegations as part of its disinformation strategy for narrow political ends. This is not the first time that India has resorted to such tactics. They have done it before, and they have resorted again to the same what they did in Pulwama incident and earlier ones. In fact, this has now become a very familiar template aimed at diverting attention from India's inability to suppress the inalienable right of the Kashmiris to self-determination, its security failures in illegally Indian-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as well as its decades-long state terrorism and oppression. To distract the international community's attention from the horrors of what's happening in the Indian illegally held Kashmir, India deliberately raises tensions with Pakistan. A durable solution for India lies in focusing on its internal problems instead of raising fingers on other countries. India has been deploying the allegations of terrorism to achieve a strategic objective for long. India has a history of using the excuse of terrorism for introducing draconian laws to suppress the innocent Kashmiris in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and to defy the UN Security Council resolutions, bilateral agreements, and international law. A case in point being India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th of August 2019 reminds us of the blatant violation of the relevant UN Security Council resolutions and the 4th Geneva Convention, as well as India's own commitments. India needs to explain why such incidents usually coincide with high-profile visits. Please make no mistake, the root cause of instability and conflict in South Asia is the unresolved and long-festering Jammu and Kashmir dispute. India's illegal occupation of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir in stark violation of the UN Security Council resolutions and grave violations of the human rights must remain a matter of grave concern for the international community. At the same time, all such incidents are used to whip up domestic political sentiment for narrow political gains. We remain extremely concerned at the very vitriolic, highly inflammatory, and blatantly Islamophobic narrative being directed against the Kashmiris and the Indian Muslims. Indian media and political leaders are directing a similar discourse against Pakistan. This highly irresponsible ploy for narrow objective gains is dragging the entire region towards extreme instability. India made allegations against Pakistan after the Pahalgam attack without an iota of evidence and with such dramatic speed. Pakistan has nothing to do with it, and we have said so right from the beginning, and I repeat, Pakistan has nothing to do with Pahalgam incident, period. We demand an independent and transparent probe by neutral investigators as announced by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mohammad Shahbaz Sharif. Any TORs in this regard should be credible and mutually agreed. Pakistan has neither any connection to it, as I explained, nor is the potential beneficiary. At a time when Pakistan economy is stabilizing and we are making significant progress against terrorism, we need to question why this situation is being created by India all of a sudden and what is the motivation behind it. The actions that India has announced after its Cabinet Committee on Security are illegal and highly irresponsible. Holding an abeyance of the Indus Waters Treaty is unilateral and illegal. There are no such provisions in the treaty. It cannot be amended without consensus. It cannot be terminated without consensus. And in case of any disagreement or issues, there are forums provided in the treaty which should be invoked. This action shows India's blatant disregard for the sanctity of international treaties. It sets a dangerous precedent. It strikes at a fundamental pillar of the regional cooperation with profound implications for regional and global stability. Pakistan is an agrarian economy. Millions of people are dependent on the waters being regulated by this treaty. Please don't forget we gave up three rivers in this treaty. And I hardly can find a water distribution treaty in the world whereby a part of dealing with the distribution of water, the rivers could have only also been given up. I can't find. The National Security Committee of Pakistan has made it very clear that any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan as per the Indus Waters Treaty and the usurpation of the rights of the low riparian will be considered as an act of war. It is equivalent to an attack on the people of Pakistan and its economy. Other diplomatic measures by India are indiscriminate and unnecessary. India's actions and inflammatory rhetoric in the last few days are highly irresponsible. Being a responsible member of the international community, Pakistan believes in restraint and remains committed to regional peace and stability. However, in case of any act of aggression, Pakistan remains determined to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity in exercise of its inherent right to self-defense as enshrined in Article 51 of the UN Charter. The world leaders I have been speaking to in the last few days after this incident, who have been requesting for the exercise of restraint, I have been making it very clear on behalf of our government, on behalf of the nation, Pakistan will not be the first one to resort to any escalatory move. However, in case of any escalatory move by the Indian side, we will respond very strongly. Let me raise some questions that need to be considered with respect to the Pahalgam incident. One, is it not the time for the international community to hold India accountable for its transnational assassinations in different countries, including Pakistan? Two, is it not important to distinguish between the international community's sympathy with victims of the incident and unwitting endorsement of Indian belligerence? Three, is it not that Indian propaganda is aimed at fabricating a casus belli for a military adventure? Four, don't you think that India's blatant disregard of international law and whimsical approach towards its obligations would lead to a highly unstable and unpredictable regional order? Five, isn't it high time for the international community to step in to condemn India and to prevent it from targeting people on the basis of Islamophobia and religious hatred? Six, can we deny that the dangerous Indian brinkmanship and efforts aimed at escalation can potentially lead to disastrous consequences in a nuclearized region and beyond? Notwithstanding above, Pakistan is cognizant of the developing situation. We are very alert, the armed forces are alert, and the National Security Committee resolve is very much there. We are vigilant, our armed forces are vigilant, and the nation will thwart any misadventure, responding in a befitting and decisive manner at the time and place of our choosing. Let me also share with you that it took no time that we issued the statement expressing our condolences. I was with Prime Minister in Ankara on an official visit. After we landed, the news came, and the moment the meetings for which we had gone there ended in the evening, I was in touch with the Foreign Office, and the Foreign Secretary and I and the team finalized in consultation with the stakeholders, Pakistan's statement on this incident, number one. Number two, a press statement was lodged by US in the UN Security Council, and we received that statement. And prima facie, there were two very, I'm not sure whether they were intentional or there were two important things which were missing there. One was missing, one was additional. The Pahalgam did not have in which part of the world, so we insisted Jammu and Kashmir to be added. Number two, there was a reference to the resistance forum, and there was a condemnation of that forum. We were happy to do that, but we asked, can we have any evidence? Or even if they have self-claimed that they have done this, we'll be very happy. So obviously, we, on principles, all other 14 members agreed to our objections, amended the press statement, which has strongest condemnation with respect to the terrorist attack in Pahalgam. So don't tell me that Pakistan is not condemned. There are different forums of condemnation. Pakistan has condemned at the international forum, where it is a responsible, one of the 15 members of the UN Security Council. Pakistan highest security forum, which is National Security Committee, has condemned it. We've condemned terrorism in all its manifestation, all forms and manifestations. Prime Minister has given a very clear condemnation statement when he offered the independent inquiry, impartial, transparent inquiry by independent, actors. So this is something rhetoric which the other side has been playing, that we did not condemn, we didn't do this. That is all wrong. So this is a brief detail I have shared with you, my opening statement. My colleagues sitting with me, spokesperson will walk you through with more detailed specific facts, and then, where necessary, Lieutenant General Sharif would step in to augment the facts. So over to you, Shafqat sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We have the Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister has provided a detailed policy statement which outlines very clearly the main contours of Pakistan's policy on this development and what is happening in our region. We have a bit more detailed information to share with our colleagues and friends here, and this is basically an attempt to further build on what the Deputy Prime Minister has already articulated. And essentially, it is an effort to clear the fog of confusion and also to remove the miasma of disinformation, basically, and to clearly lay out Pakistan's perspective. So the sequence we are following is basically just to give you an outline of how our detailed presentation would flow. So first we will speak a few words about the Pahalgam incident, some details about geography, what happened. The second is the question of the larger problems which we have been witnessing, which is very evident, is the fake encounters and illegally held Pakistani prisoners in India. The third and very crucial, very important, it feeds into this whole picture, is the Indian-sponsored and abetted terrorism in Pakistan. This we will explain in some detail how it is happening and what are the mechanics and what are the implications of this. And finally, the last two sections deal with the internal repression in India and stifling of freedom of expression, basically. So the first part I'll start is the Pahalgam incident. Can we slide? Yeah, okay. So you have a good view of it. The incident occurred in Pahalgam, which is about 230 kilometers from the line of control, or 100 kilometers the crow flight distance. And it's a known tourist area. And it's very clear if you look at this map which has been on display here. The area is hilly and slightly treacherous in nature. An important detail now, this please keep in mind. The attack took place between 1350 to 1420 hours. This is the time window when this attack is taking place. But the FIR was registered at 14:30 hours, within 10 minutes. Unfortunately, there were 26 people died. There was, including one Nepali national, and 16 people were injured. Indian security forces reached the site and launched a search operation, but 8 days have passed. So far, there is no news of any arrest, suspects information being shared about suspects or evidence being shared. But it is also even more interesting is that, first of all, in 10 minutes, FIR was registered, but with equal alacrity, the Indian social media accounts, they all follow a certain pattern. They are affiliated with the Indian External Intelligence Agency. We will give more detail about that. And they, in 10 minutes' time, I think the attack lasted till 14-20 hours. Within short span of time, immediately Pakistan was started being blamed, although there was no evidence, nothing, no detailed information, but this being was pinned on Pakistan very, very quickly. And this is something very interesting to reflect on. The next, no, it's a pichli slide pe jaye. The slide before this. Yes. The other point is also you have to keep in view that when we are talking about 10-minute difference between the writing of FIR and the incident, it is a hilly track. Its minimum time is need to get to the police station. This is very important to keep in view. So, but again, just to repeat myself, or sounding repetitive, but the FIR is registered in a matter of 10 minutes. Serious questions about how information was processed so quickly. And writing of FIR is that it needs certain deliberation. Maybe someone called, but the point is you need to gather, this is the first information report, you have to have some contours of what happened actually before you get into the writing of the FIR. And that too in such difficult terrain, how all of this was done basically. From this onward, now come to the next slide. I will now request the Director General ISPR, Lieutenant General Sharif, to take over this, the other part of the presentation. He'll share more details on this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. As the spokesperson has already given you an orientation of the area. So if you see the first slide, if you can go to the first slide, I'll just tilt a bit so that I'll be able to go along with you. If you can go to the map slide. If you see, this is the, if this is the crow distance from the Badori Bulge at the place, it is approximately 100 kilometers. And on the road and tracks, it is more than 200 kilometers. But that is from the tip of the Badori Bulge. From any nearest Pakistani town that says Bagh, it's even much more. So, what we are trying to do here is to walk you through facts of this incident rather than the allegations that are being made. So, if the allegation is that it's the Pakistan-based so-called terrorists did this incident, then you need to be cognizant of where it lies, how far deep it is inside the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. If you see the terrain on this map slide, you will see that it's quite hilly. It's not the sort of terrain which is very friendly and not a sort of terrain where the all-weather fair roads exist. It's mostly on 4x4 and the horseback that the travel is being done over there. If you go to the next slide, so there's a track, then comes the road. So approximately, if you see, it takes about, we can estimate that about 30 minutes for someone to move from the incident to the police station. So if the incident, as per the FIR, was from 1350 and it is 1420 hours. So how it was humanly possible that within 10 minutes, the police was there, evaluated the situation, went back and registered the FIR. And if we see this FIR closely, there are 3 points. The time factor, the time aspect has been repeatedly, clearly enunciated. More things that I would like to draw your attention. That the FIR lodged after 10 minutes states that these were across the border. The handlers of this incident were across the border. So they established it in 10 minutes. While the incident was going on, before that, the intelligence or the security was so, we can say, flat that the incident happened, there was no intelligence, but within 10 minutes, they had such complete intelligence that they were established that it was across the border handlers. And secondly, it says over there that there was innate firing. However, we also know that a consistent narrative was made, is being made, that this act of terrorism was done on base of religion. That the Muslims, that it was the segregation was done and Hindus were killed. So I would request if you can go to the next slide, because the facts speak for themselves. On the next clip, he is the brother of the Muslim victim of this act of that happened of the killing of the innocent citizens over there. Listen to him. So why this self-made narrative is being made? That is a question that has already been raised by the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister. If you go to the next slide, you see that immediately after incident at about 3 o'clock, the social media, the particular social media handlers in India started breaking the news at 3:05, exactly at 3:05 on the social media, a handle which is closely affiliated with their agencies, put the blame on Pakistan. It says Pakistan attacked Pahalgam through its proxies. Then the electronic media also comes into play. At 3:30, the electronic media is also saying that it's the Pakistan that is being done. So the allegations of Pakistan being responsible started coming within minutes, while the evidence is still awaited. And on the next, this social media post, which is at around 4 o'clock, you can see, if you go to the previous slide, if you see at 4 o'clock, they were sure and they started saying that it is the Islamist terrorists that have killed tourists. So the narrative of the Islamist terrorists, while we are absolutely clear that terrorism has no religion. There are no Islamic terrorists. There are no Christian terrorists. And there are also no even Hindu terrorists, because terrorists have no religion. If you go to the next slide, I'll draw your attention towards that these social media accounts that started propagating that it's Pakistan, it's Islamic terrorism, they have been in play in this business of terrorism much before. Here you can see that Mianwali, 4th November, once the attack occurred. So you see at one day before, the same social media accounts that are active in Pahalgam, the Indian social media accounts affiliated with their agency, one day before, that social media account is saying, tomorrow is a big day, so going to bed early. You can see that. And next day, it says, it quote tweets and says, good morning Mianwali. And there we see the Mianwali terror incident being done by the Fitnal Khawarij. So this is a collusion with the Fitnal Khawarij, with the terror incident that happened in Mianwali on 4th of November 2023. Then comes 6th October 2024, the attack on our Chinese friends in Karachi. Before the attack, there is, from the same handle, there is a tweet which says big day in the next few hours. And then it says huge blast in Karachi, more details to follow. And then the targeted ID explosion in Karachi near airport, car carrying engineer, foreigner, perhaps Chinese. So there you see the collusion for the world to see that how the choreography is being done of predicting that we are going to hit, where the attack happens and then its glorification on social media. And if you follow the media, then the electronic media automatically comes within minutes into play. And same thing you are seeing in Pahalgam. Why I'm making this point? Because if you do this forensic, this common sense forensic, you see that what happened also in Pahalgam. Moving forward, very recently, the Jafar Express, same account. Keep your eyes on Pakistan today and tomorrow. And then comes big Jafar Express train carrying Pakistani forces personnel from Quetta to Peshawar attack. The same accounts that are active carrying the narrative of the Islamist terrorists, Pakistan being responsible on play over here. But let's see, if we want to understand what happened at Pahalgam, that what are the people there in India and Kashmir seeing. Let's see what they are seeing, who are actually over there. The questions that the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister has raised, they are being echoed also within from India, because the facts are there for the people to see. Hear them out. He kept on bleeding. So these questions that we are raising, that we are thinking, that the world is thinking, the most loud voice in fact is coming inside from India. The people who are seeing and watching what's happening. Now if you go to the next slide, is it first time that it's happening? No. There is a litany of using terror incidents for political ends. This is important, that these terror incidents have an objective, a political objective. We saw last time in case of Pulwama that how the terror incident in February was used for a political objective for change of status of Kashmir. And we are seeing that a terror incident, that an incident that happened in Pahalgam is being used for the purpose of Indus Waters Treaty, for distracting the Pakistan's continuous and very hardly fought and won war on the terrorism, the CT effort of Pakistan, and the efforts, the successful efforts for reviving the economy. And there is a list of these incidents. I'll just give you examples of two incidents. Are you listening? After a quarter of a century, it's the same playbook being repeated again and again. Using incidents like Pahalgam, like Jati Singhpura, like Pulwama for political objectives. If you see, the history also tells us what was actually Pulwama. Please listen carefully to the then governor of the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Blame Pakistan to win, to take credit, win elections. Now, there is another important fact that needs to be considered in the situation that the region is facing today, and that is the phenomenon of the fake encounters using the illegally held Pakistani prisoners in India. We have the reports, we have the information that hundreds of Pakistanis being held by the Indians in different jails and locations are used and fake encounters projected as terrorists and infiltrators. I'll give you just few examples. This boy, Zia Mustafa, he was a minor in 2013. He was taken in custody while he inadvertently crossed, shot down in a fake encounter on 14th October 2021, 50 years plus. Just few days ago, on 24th April, in their residence of Uri, and they were killed in a fake encounter by the Indians. If you see the dead bodies, that the Indians showed that they are infiltrators. The Muhammad Farooq, he is wearing joggers. His clothes are absolutely clean. And what they have put beside, after killing him, beside him, is a pistol. Is this the infiltrator where there is infested with regular forces going to take on a regular army, and those security forces wearing joggers and a pistol that they planted along with his body? On the other side, look at the shoes. He's wearing Mukeshan, shining shoes. You kill innocent, you plant evidence on them, and then you call them infiltrators? And what are these village people telling? That are they terrorists? Are they infiltrators? Listen to them. This is what they are trying to fabricate even after post-Pahalgam. Pakistan is sending infiltrators and terrorists. You kill innocent people yourself. You plant weapons, and then you claim them as infiltrators. You claim them that the Pakistani security forces have sent them. Ask yourself that who is doing state-sponsored terrorism over here. Next example. This is 23rd April, just few days ago, a fake encounter that happened in Kupwara. Please hold your breath and see what they do once they are planting, once they are making their bodies, how they mutilate those bodies. Listen to this. These are soldiers of a professional army, hacking the head of a body of an innocent person and showing that these are the terrorists. This happened on 23rd of April in Kupwara. And that's why, if you go to the next slide, once you keep on seeing on the Indian media and their so-called evidence that this person has been found and this person has been found, from where are these persons coming? Pakistanis, the Kashmiri citizens who are held in different jails, in different locations. Like that poor boy Zia Mustafa and many other incidents that are on record, who are brought out of the jails, killed in fake encounters, tortured, forced to give confessional statements, posed as terrorists. The facts, this is the reality of what's going on behind all these incidents. Next, I would like to say few words and take a few minutes on the state-sponsored, the Indian-sponsored and abetted terrorism in Pakistan. Let's start with what the Indians themselves say about it. Please listen. So these were the leaders of multiple terrorist groups operating in Balochistan, who, having after surrendered, are revealing in detail that how they were funded, they were helped, and how their sponsorship was done by India. In the next slide, you can see a terrorist operating and sponsored by India, Aslam Achu, in Indian hospital, and an Indian provided passport of Afghanistan office. In next slide, you can see that once the Jafar Express happened, the internationally recognized terrorist organization BLA, his spokesperson, where was he sitting? He was sitting on Indian channels, wearing a mask, coming on multiple Indian channels, and glorification of a terrorist sect, which, by the way, the state of India has not shown any concern or condemn. And they are glorifying it, taking its spokesperson over here. Again, very interesting. This footage that the Indian TV channels showed was made by the terrorists once actually the Jafar Express ID was blown. So this was only available with terrorists. And who are the first electronic channels who started showing it? It's the Indian channels. So that terror incident has been, so this is vehement, clear glorification of terrorism being done in Pakistan. If you move to the next slide, you will find that not long ago, it was Pakistan, as repeatedly has been telling this, and this is the evidence that Pakistan put in front in this room on Indian sponsored and abetted terrorism in Pakistan once the transnational killings of Pakistanis was done. Listen to this clip also. And is it only restricted to Pakistan? No, it's not. It's transnational. Listen to what the other parts and the leaders of the other countries are saying. Once we say that we have got nothing to do with Pahalgam, and once we say the only way is an independent, credible, transparent investigation, we have strong reasons, empirical evidence and facts on the basis of which we are saying. Now, see, if you come to the next slide, if you remember that once the National Security Council issued its declaration on 24th April, it clearly said that Indian attempts to inject volatility in the environment along Pakistan's eastern border is aimed at distracting Pakistan's counter-terrorism efforts. And on night 25th, 26th, within 48 to 72 hours, its manifestation was clear. The largest tashkeel of Fitna al-Khawarij terrorists was taken down. 71 were sent to hell. This proxy of the Indians, the largest tashkeel, was launched, and alhamdulillah, the Pakistan security forces and the intelligence agencies, being vigilant, took them down. Because we have credible intelligence that Indians, post-Pahalgam, have tasked all their proxies to undertake terrorist acts everywhere in Pakistan, whether these proxies are operating in Balochistan and along the other parts of Pakistan. One of the clear evidence of these proxies and these cells I presented in detail yesterday. Just to refresh your minds, I am going to request you to listen to just one audio of a serving major of the Indian Army talking with a terrorist whom he is handling inside Pakistan. Please listen to this. So what all we are showing you here, that independent, transparent, neutral, credible investigators, if they see this, this is what they need to see. This all is verifiable. This all is there for to see. It can be forensically checked that there is this serving Indian major. And this is few days ago. And if you listen carefully, what is he saying? He is saying we are operating a terror network from Lahore to Balochistan. He is saying we are here for years and we are going to be here for years. He is saying money is no problem. If this small terror cell, that one man cell in millions, and giving him millions. Just imagine how many billions are they ready and are they paying to Fitna and the terrorist organizations operating in Balochistan as their proxy. Just imagine that how much money is being paid over there. And is it not a clear, vivid example of what actually terror financing means? This is for the world to see. This is for the world to check. Against all this terrorism that is sponsored and abetted by the Indians in Pakistan, because of it, if you go to the next slide, you will see the figures. Since January 24, Pakistan has suffered 3,700 terror incidents. And you talk to us about your incidents that are happening without any evidence, and you put those incidents blame on Pakistan. There is verifiable evidence that there are 3,700 incidents of terror that are happening over here. We have shown you a few parts of that how is it happening, who is sponsoring them, who is glorifying them, who is abetting them. In these incidents, the people of Pakistan has suffered 3,896 casualties. There are 1,314 shaheeds, civilians, law enforcement. There are 2,582 injured. And against this, your law enforcement, your security forces, intelligence, armed forces are waging 192 operations per day. We have killed more 1,666 terrorists. This is the terrorism that has been abetted and sponsored by India. It's for the whole world to see, they feel it, its effects. And here we must be cognizant that Pakistan is the last bulwark that is standing against this scourge of terrorism, of this creeping, perverted ideology, which is getting its notion of victory somewhere else. And it's the Pakistan, the people of Pakistan, its armed forces, its law enforcement, which is standing as the last bulwark, not only for the sake of Pakistan and its people, but for the sake of the whole global community. Just imagine if this creeping, perverted ideology takes its root in a country of 240 million plus, what sort of disaster consequences it will have for the whole world. And India, for its short-term, myopic objectives, is facilitating this terrorism. It's abetting this perverted, creeping ideology. Why? For its short-term political objectives. So this is important to understand. Now, a few words about the oppression that is going on with the Muslims and in Kashmiris. We're not going to talk about what's been happening for last more than 70 years. I'm just going to show you what's happening since Pahalgam. Please watch this. That how the houses, please run this. That how the houses are being bulldozed, blasted. There are more than 50 houses in Kashmir alone have been bulldozed and blasted on flimsy charges of being affiliated or being part of the Pahalgam. More than 2,000 people have been taken into custody. Thousands are being harassed. This is what's happening right now. Request you to go to the next slide. Now, I talked earlier that there is a planned and choreographed campaign of Islamist terrorism, but the facts speak differently. This is what some sane people are saying, that the tourists who came in taxis belonging to Muslims, they stayed in hotels owned by Muslims, they ate food cooked by Muslims, they rode ponies owned by Muslims, they did trekking guided by Muslims. When terrorists started their attack, they were covered and protected by Muslims. The first person to die defending was a Muslim brother. Did you not hear his brother? The first person who died protecting those tourists? You kindly next slide pe rahe. And so I'm trying to make you understand that what people over there. They are saying they were the first come who came to help for Muslims. The pony owners, the riders, the pillowback riders, first aid and rescue was done by Muslims. Ambulances were driven by Muslims. They were treated in hospitals by Muslim doctors and nurses. And everywhere on social media, we see that all Muslims are terrorists. So this is the orchestrated narrative that is being played. Now see this Muslim MLA from Bihar. Please now run this. Who raised his voice against this Muslim discrimination. So if you speak otherwise, go to jail. Even if you are an MLA. And what's happening to the Muslims and Kashmiris? Please run this. I just said earlier also that terrorism has no religion. There are no Muslim terrorists, there are no Christian terrorists, there are no even Hindu terrorists. So why an effort is being made to label the whole community, the Muslims, as terrorists? Is this part of some agenda? Is this part of that hate that systematically is being put in a society? That saffronization that is trying to be done, whose manifestation you saw that the Muslims and dogs not allowed? And where did we see that the world conscious and the world memory remembers those posters? And also that what ensued after that, the genocide and the suffering that ensued after that. So the irrationality that you see playing and the rational minds grapple to understand, it stems from somewhere perhaps over here. Lastly, those who are trying to tell within the India that there is something wrong, that something is amiss, what's happening there? Please listen to this. Last clip, that what's happening once you say your and put your voices on social media. So she's just pointing out common facts that all these incidents are happening in once the BJP government is in power. She's trying to just connect the dots, and there you go, and the big law, hand of the law comes. And what they are trying to do for the voices that are coming from outside the world, if you go to the next slide, what's happening outside? They have blocked all digital YouTube, digital news channels of Pakistan, so that the voice of Pakistan of fact and reason, explaining what's happening, what are the actual facts, doesn't go to its citizens. They are blocking all websites, X handles, other handles who are talking about facts. This is what's right now happening on hourly basis. Why they are stifling it? Because they are afraid of truth. They don't want to face the reality. Lastly, I would just say that this tells us something very important. That what the Indians are trying to do is that there is a process of internalization of their external problems and externalization of their internal problems. Kashmir is an external problem, and they are internalizing it. Terrorism, extremism is an internal problem of India. Instead of handling it, instead of addressing it, they are externalizing it. This cycle is manifesting itself also in this Pahalgam incident. Thank you very much.
We'll open the floor for questions. You moderate, sir.
With your permission.
Yeah, please.
The floor is open. Ms. Mona.
Mona Khan from Independent Urdu. My question is from DG ISPR. Sir, what response and options are available to Pakistan in wake of your yesterday press briefing?
Please.
We are monitoring the situation very carefully in all domains. And accordingly, our responses and countermeasures in all domains are ready. And as you must have seen in the declaration of the National Security Council, the statement of the government of Pakistan that came last night also, that there will be decisive and assured actions. I will not go into the details, but rest assured, the people of Pakistan, with its full resolve, will defend the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Pakistan at all cost.
I'll just add to what Lieutenant General Sharif said, that Pakistan will exercise restraint for the purpose of regional peace, but, and that is very clear, if provoked, and any action from the other side will be responded in a emphatic manner and in a stronger way. Thank you.
Aga Ikrar sir.
Sir, my question, thank you so much, Aga Ikrar from DND News Agency. My question is to DG ISPR. Sir, yesterday and even today, you have with the facts and figures, you shared how Indian Army, not the intelligence agency, the Indian Army is in cross-border terrorism in Pakistan. What next now? For how long Pakistan is the situation when the Indian Army is directly involved, paying people with the documentation? You have shared everything. So what would be next now?
Well, the nation is united. The resolve of the leadership is in front of you. National Security Committee press release, we covered every point. We discussed in totality. And I must compliment all political parties who represent in the federation, federating units, all federating units in the Senate of Pakistan, which is a symbol of federation. There is the unanimous resolution, including, I'm repeating, all political parties. And I think the message was loud and clear that in terms of our sovereignty, or territorial integrity, there is no compromise. And we are one, united, and with clear resolve that if anything, any provocation takes place, then, don't blame us. And this is the message we have given while, communicating with world leaders in the last few days. Thank you.
And Ms. Sumera.
Just to add with reference to the evidence that you talked, this evidence is credible, it is verifiable for fair and independent inquiry by any investigators. And Pakistan will take up this case, is taking up and will continue to take up this case of this state-sponsored and abetted terrorism with all forums, including community.
Thank you very much, spokesperson. This is Sumaira Khan from Sama Television. Sir, I have a two-pronged question. One is from the respected DG and the other is posing at Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister. DG, if we talk about kinetic measures, we are right now engaged significantly eastern border and western So the terrorist might be thinking, terrorist who's operating right now significantly from across the border. If you talk about Afghanistan, I'm forced to name this country as well right now. So what is our situation? Are we stretching our army at two borders? What's our strategy to deal with this two-prong kinetic strategy? And Foreign Minister, I'm seeing you discussing the entire situation with a lot of world leaders, and you have been day in, day out, you are speaking to them. But to my shock and wonder, I did not see any statement from any country that is condemning that India is not presenting substantial evidence of Pahalgam attack. And yes, they are offering their condolences to the victims, we do, but where is the demand for evidence from India, and what forums exactly we are seeking to put up this question? And as DG has highlighted, that state-sponsored terrorism from India, what exactly we are going to do about it? Thank you so much.
I'll answer the second half.
Pakistan Army and Pakistan Armed Forces and law enforcement, we are a battle-hardened army. So, it may be a ploy, it may be a tactic, it may be a desire, a strategy for them to engage militarily on the eastern front so as to create space along the western border. But Pakistan Armed Forces, its law enforcement, intelligence, security agencies are fully capable of taking all these threats simultaneously with full force and effectivity. This manifestation you just have seen in the last few days. As I told you that we have credible intelligence and that all the proxies of terror have been activated. But the security of the people is being done. The terrorists are being hunted and being taken down. So we are vigilant, we are watching everywhere. And I said earlier that we are watching their moves and what they are doing and their plans in all domains. So whether they are in the domain of counter-terrorism, non-kinetic, information operations, other domains, air, ground, sea, everywhere, and appropriate countermeasures are being taken, are in place, and there will be defeating and decisive responses.
The second question, you see the reaction of the diplomatic world, always incident specific. The incident is Pahalgam, so that would be out of context what you expect, that while they are not condemning India, obviously they are condemning the terrorism, everybody, but I don't know whether you have seen the Chinese statement, whether you have seen the Tayyip Erdogan, the president of Turkey statement, and I explained earlier that most of the global leaders, they were very, very candid and requested to exercise restraint, and that's why we have announced that we will not be the first one the escalatory move. So the policy of the government is absolutely clear, and that's what we are following. So surely this will be inappropriate, I think, at this stage. They haven't seen all this evidence, number one. The discussion right now is focused on an incident. So, it will be out of context if somebody goes out of the way and starts condemning why you're not dealing with all these things. So this is for your education to sharing with the media, with the nation, with the international community, that's what Jan Saab and spokesperson have tried.
सुनो न्यूज़ से मेरे इसाक डार साहब से दो क्वेश्चन हैं सर। पहले तो ये कि गुज़िश्ता रोज़ DG ISPR की जानिब से ब्रीफिंग में बड़े वाज़े शवाहिद पेश किए गए जो ये साबित करते हैं कि किस तरह से इंडिया क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म में मुलविस है। तो क्या पाकिस्तान मुख्तलिफ सफारतकारों को बुलाकर और बिलखसूस अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा की सतह पर कोई डोजियर देने की तैयारी कर रहा है? और सेकेंडली ये सर कि क्या अभी तक अमेरिका, चीन या किसी भी दोस्त मुल्क की जानिब से दोनों ममालिक के दरमियान तनाव की जो हालिया कैफियत है इसको कम करने के लिए कोई पेशकश की गई है? थैंक यू।
देखिए, जहाँ तक डोजेस का सवाल है, एज आई सेड दैट वी आर एक्टिवली इन्वॉल्व विद द डिप्लोमेटिक कम्युनिटी। दे वर गिवन ब्रीफिंग इन मोफा by the foreign secretary to begin with, who were present in Islamabad. We are actively engaged with different high commissioners, ambassadors. Even today, a US charge d'affaires called on me. So we are actively engaged on this thing 24/7. Number two, the वाज़े शवाहिद जो आपने बात की देखें, let me remind you, all this thing what you have seen, if I can quote Madeleine Albright book, the introductory remarks were by President Clinton. Now, what did he say? And it's not a recent episode; it's decades old. In that book, it is written that quoting President Clinton, he said he had the intel information that if he goes to India, there will be around 36 will be killed, murdered, and he responded that if I had gone, I had taken that information and not gone, then perhaps these 6 could have survived. But if I had not gone, I would not have discharged my responsibility as PUTUS, President of the United States of America. So it's not me who's saying, it's Madeleine Albright book. The person she's quoting has written the introductory remarks in that book. So this is, you see, and the actions are totally, unacceptable. Even in 1971 war, Indus Waters Treaty was kept in place and was followed. Never before, since this 23rd announcement, never before. And there is no provision or possibility in the international legal dictionary the word abeyance in any treaty. So they can suspend it, but there is no provision of suspension. Thank you.
Mateen sir.
जी थैंक यू सो मच डीजी मतीन हैदर डीजी ISPR से सवाल है आज हमें आपकी तरफ से अपडेट्स मुसलसल मिल रहे हैं और एक अपडेट ये है कि पाक फ़ौज ने अपनी जो रेगुलर मशकें वो शुरू कर दी है एयरफोर्स ने ऑलरेडी शुरू की हुई है रात के हमें वज़ीर इत्तलात का भी स्टेटमेंट मिला जिसमें ये कहा गया कि अगले 36 घंटे भारत की जानिब से हमले के लिए इंतहाई अहम है आपसे स्पेसिफिकली ये पूछना है कि कितना बड़ा ख़तरा है हमारी कौन सी जगहें पाकिस्तान में क्या लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल आज़ाद कश्मीर भावलपुर किन जगहों पे ख़तरा ज़्यादा है और उस ख़तरे से निमटने के लिए हमारी तैयारी उन इलाकों में कितनी है चूँकि एक्सरसाइज का क्लिप हमें आ चुका है और डिप्टी PM FM से सवाल है हमारा जो डिप्लोमेटिक स्टाफ न्यू दिल्ली से आ रहा था उनके साथ वाघा बॉर्डर के ऊपर बहुत बदसलूकी की जा रही है एक नोट भी हमें फॉरेन ऑफिस के ग्रुप में इस हवाले से मिला तो ये बताइए ये भी इंटरनेशनल लॉ वियना कन्वेंशन की खिलाफ वर्जी है जो डिप्लोमेटिक स्टाफ आ रहा है हमने उनके स्टाफ को बड़े एहतराम से भिजवाया लेकिन हमारे स्टाफ के साथ बदसलूकी की जा रही है तो बस ये 2 सवाल हैं बहुत शुक्रिया
क्या कर रही है ये मैंने जो स्पोक्स पर्सन है उनको क्वेश्चन छोड़ा हुआ है इसके ऊपर रिस्पॉन्ड भी नहीं कर रही मिनिस्ट्री
मेरा ख्याल 3 हो गया फिर आप नया सवाल कर लें जहाँ तक 24 से 36 घंटे का सवाल है ये इट वाज बेस्ड ऑन क्रेडिबल इंटेल इंफॉर्मेशन सो वी थॉट दैट इट वुड बी अप्रोप्रिएट लेट नाइट इट शुड मेड पब्लिक and that's why the information minister gave this statement. It was in the knowledge of the entire leadership, both civil and military. Number 2, बदसलूकी जहाँ तक आपने फरमाया, obviously this is very undiplomatic, unwarranted, unacceptable. So we will raise it at all proper forums, including the United Nations, because this because we believe that respect dignity of the diplomats, no matter in which country they belong to and where they are moving to and from, we will take care of that. जहाँ तक पाकिस्तान के फंसों के ताल्लुक है, our High Commission New Delhi is working on that, and we will coordinate. You see, it's something which the data is being collected, but obviously, since there were 48 hours for them to leave and for us to leave, because both actions were taken. So I think we are taking care of this thing. The spokesperson will give you next regular briefing with the more detail.
Exactly.
आपने एक एक्सरसाइज का रेफर किया. This is just one part that was shared with you. Rest assured कि आपकी चाहे फौज है, चाहे फ़ज़ाइया है, चाहे नेवी है, चाहे बाकी तमाम दिफा से ताल्लुक़ रखने वाले इदारे हैं, वो हमा वक्त हर वक्त अपनी तैयारी में मसरूफ़ है. So we are everywhere, all the time. We are ready and we are prepared to take on all sort of challenges. Military confrontation का रास्ता अगर उन्होंने चुनना है तो ये उनकी चॉइस है. आगे ये किधर जाता है ये फिर हमारी चॉइस है.
जी, मेरा नाम एजाज अहमद है, मैं जीएनएन से हूँ. डॉक्टर साहब, एक तो आपसे सवाल है और जनरल साहब आपसे सवाल है. जनरल साहब से पहले पूछ लेते हैं कि एक तो ये जो एक्सरसाइज का मतीन ने तस्करा किया, लेकिन इसके साथ साथ बहुत सारे वीडियोज भी आ जाती हैं कि ये हो गया, वो हो गया, इतनी मोर्चे गिरा दिए, इतने ये. हमें थोड़ा सा स्पेसिफिक इस हवाले से भी आप बता सकें कि एक्चुअली लाइन ऑफ कंट्रोल पर और वर्किंग बाउंड्री पर क्या सूरत हाल है. फिर इंडियन मीडिया बहुत बुलंद बांग दावे करता है कि हमारे पास रफाइल आ गए हैं, पाकिस्तान के पास इसका तोड़ नहीं है. तो हमारे पास तोड़ क्या है उसका. और डॉक्टर साहब, आपसे सवाल ये है कि आज ही अमेरिकी तर्जुमान ने ये कहा है कि मार्को रूबियो जो है यूएस सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट, वो आपसे और इंडियन काउंटर पार्ट से बात करेंगे. इंडिया ने एक ये मजाक बनाया हुआ है कि हर कुछ साल के बाद वो एक फॉल्स फ्लैग करता है और फिर पाकिस्तान पर इल्ज़ाम शुरू कर देता है. हमारी प्री कंडीशंस क्या होंगी और क्या मीडिएशन पॉसिबल है मौजूदा सूरत हाल में?
नहीं, ज़रा एक सेकंड. ऑलरेडी उनके 4 सवाल हैं एक ही में, सो मेरा पहले हैंडल कर रहे थे.
अभी करते हैं,
अभी आपके पास विल कम टू यू.
अगर आप कमेंट कर दें, इज देयर एनी अपडेट ऑन द करंट सिचुएशन?
देखिए, वी हैव ए नंबर ऑफ टेलीफोन कॉल्स रिक्वेस्ट हमने भी भेजी हुई हैं, हमारे पास भी है. वी आर मैनेजिंग इट एज पर मैक्सिमम पोटेंशियल. लेकिन ये जो आपने सेक्रेटरी रूबियो की बात की, उन्होंने चूँकि मेरा शायद एक ट्रैवल था जो मैंने पोस्टपोन किया, यू ऑल नो, काबुल के बाद मैंने ढाका जाना था, तो उन्होंने रिक्वेस्ट मुझे भी भेजी हुई है और गालबन प्राइम मिनिस्टर हाउस भी आई है. तो whosoever is available will talk to him and he calls. Obviously foreign office as per the standard practice will tie up the time. जहाँ तक फॉल्स फ्लैग है, हमने तो इसको अपनी इवन पहलगाम पे सीरियस रिजर्वेशन फ्लैग कर दी हैं. पहले आपने सब कुछ देखा है जो जनरल शरीफ ने आपको दिखाया है. दिस एब्सोल्युटली क्रिस्टल क्लियर दैट वी डू नॉट बिलीव कि ये है, लेकिन इसके बावजूद वी हैव ऑफर्ड, ओके फाइन, इफ हुआ है, यू से दैट इट्स हुआ है, तो गिव द एविडेंस टू द न्यूट्रल इंडिपेंडेंट इन्वेस्टिगेटर्स. व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम अबाउट नॉट हैविंग अ प्रोब? सो अगर प्रोब होगी तो ओनली देन वी वुड नो के वेयर डू वी स्टैंड. तो ये फॉल्स फ्लैग जो है, ये एक इनका ड्रामेटिक किस्म का, ये इनका पुलवामा देख ले. मैंने भी आपको मेडल ऑलब्राइट की किताब प्रेसिडेंट क्लिंटन के विजिट का बताया. आई वाज प्रेजेंट 2nd of December 1998 when after the detonation in Oval Office with Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, and we have dialogue Madeleine Albright, Sandy Berger, Rubin Talbot, they were all there. I, Sartaj Aziz Saab, अपना Mushahid Hussain Sayyid, Shawaz Sharif Saab and Riaz Khokar were there. So you see, but these are the things one cannot divulge. These are national history and archives, and they are. So let me assure you, we know that there is false flag and how it is to be dealt with. So we have raised our reservations, offered independently. So I think gradually the international community, the way they drummed up false propaganda in the first 48 hours has died down already. You have seen that the Indians खुद वो सवाल वही पूछ रहे हैं और they are questioning many things. So this is how their narrative has virtually gone for the six, and their propaganda has fallen. So हम अभी भी हमारी जो ऑफर है वो है, जहाँ तक आपने ममालिक की जिक्र किया, मीडिएशन की बात की. देखिए, मीडिएशन नहीं, इन्वेस्टिगेशन की जरूरत है, मीडिएशन तो कोई जरूरत नहीं है. So our friends have offered and they must be trying. The need of the hour is, because both countries being nuclear, any escalatory move can go to a direction which would be unsustainable, not between the two countries, maybe for the entire region. So it is a combined responsibility of friends and the regional actors to make sure that India doesn't make this mistake. But as General Sharif has said, on behalf of armed forces, they are alert, they are ready, and they are, inshallah, in a position to give a befitting response of the nature, and we will choose time and mode, of our liking. Thank you.
I'll just try to add to that آپ نے کہا انفارمیشن آتی ہے کہ جہاز ہی ہو گیا, مختلف طرح انفارمیشن. اگر تو آپ اپنی انفارمیشن سوشل میڈیا سے لے رہے ہیں تو آپ کو بہت طرح کی انفارمیشن ملے گی. تو آئی ووڈ ریکویسٹ دیٹ پلیز اونلی ریفر ٹو دی کریڈیبل سورسز آف انفارمیشن, اسپیشلی یہ جو سرکمسٹانسز چل رہے ہیں اس کے اندر. دی سوشل میڈیا, دی اکاؤنٹس, دے آر ناٹ اے کریڈیبل سورس آف انفارمیشن. وہاں سے آپ کو بہت کچھ ملے گا. اپنے دعوے کی بات کی, وہ دعویٰ کہتے ہیں کہ جی ہمارا رافائل اور یہ وہ, تو ان کے دعوے تو پہلگام پہ بھی ہیں, ان کے دعوے تو بہت سی چیزوں پہ ہیں. ان کے اگر ہم ان کے دعووں پہ چلنا شروع ہو جائیں تو دین دی ورلڈ ول لک انٹائرلی ڈفرنٹ. اینڈ لاسٹلی جو آپ نے ڈی جی ایم او کی ٹاک کی بات کی, دیر از اے لانگ اسٹینڈنگ ارینجمنٹ آف روٹین ہوتی ہے. ڈی جی ایم او ایک ہاٹ لائن اسٹیبلشڈ ہے, اور وہ ہر ٹیوزڈے کو اس کے اوپر ایک بات چیت ہوتی ہے. اس کے اندر جو سا ہے دونوں سائڈس کی پروٹوکول یہی ہیں کہ وہ اس بات چیت کو, اس کانٹیکٹ کو پبلک نہیں کرتے. وی ڈونٹ نو دیٹ فار واٹ ریزن دی انڈینس تھاٹ اٹس نیسیسری کہ انہوں نے آ کے اس کو پبلک کرنا ہے. پرہیپس دے فیلٹ, جس طرح انہوں نے کہا کہ ان دی نیریٹو, ان دی انفارمیشن ڈومین, دے ہیو نتھنگ ٹو ٹیل, تو دے تھاٹ اٹس کہ جی اس کو اپنی پبلک کو بتایا جائے کہ ہم نے وہاں پہ سیز فائر وائلیشنس کی بات کی ہیں اور ہم نے یہ بات کی ہے. So this is not something that is talked in public. So this is an arrangement, long standing, between the two countries.
جی ساجد جی, ایک نیوز ہے. ڈار صاحب, ابھی آپ نے حال ہی میں کابل کا وزٹ کیا, اور اس کے فوری بعد یہ 71 جو ڈی جی صاحب نے بتایا کہ ٹیررسٹ افغانستان سے پاکستان داخل ہونے کی کوشش کر رہے تھے, پراکسیز کی بات کی, تو کیا آپ کی ان کے ساتھ اس حوالے سے جو بات ہوئی اس کا نتیجہ اس صورت میں نکلا کہ
شروع میں کیا کہا آپ نے؟ کابل وزٹ کیا. جی 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 جی,
وہ تو پھر وہی جاری, بلکہ سب سے بڑی تشکیل جو ہے وہ پاکستان کی سرزمین پہ آئی. دوسرا ڈی جی صاحب, آپ سے ایک سوال ہے کہ انڈین جو پرائم منسٹر ہیں, مسلسل نیشنل سیکورٹی کمیٹی میٹنگ, کیبنٹ میٹنگ, اور ان کا انڈین میڈیا یہ کہہ رہا ہے کہ جو پرائم منسٹر ہیں انہوں نے اپنی فوج کو گرین سگنل دے دیا ہے پاکستان کے اوپر حملے کا, اور یہ کہا گیا کہ وہ اپنی مرضی سے جگہ کا تعین کر لیں, مقام کا تعین کر لیں, ٹارگٹ کا تعین کر لیں. تو ہماری طرف سے جو ہے آپ کا اس کو رسپانس کیا ہوگا؟
میں کابل کا جواب آپ کو پہلے دے دیتا ہوں. دیکھیں, ڈونٹ مکس ٹو تھنگس ٹوگیدر. یو کی ناٹ چینج یور نیبرس اینڈ یو ہیو ٹو ڈیل ود دیم. دس از نو سولوشن کہ اگر ہمیں پتہ ہے کہ ان کی سرزمین ماضی میں استعمال ہوئی ہے تو ہم اپنے تعلقات کو بند کر دیں. It is not neither good for economy, nor trade, nor even Islamically, it's not allowed. So the government and the stakeholder decided that we should re-engage Afghanistan. So I visited Afghanistan. The visit was absolutely marvelous, both from political point of view, from economic and trade point of view, from refugees point of view. And also, وہ نہیں کرتے, چوئی صاحب جنرلی پریس ٹیک آؤٹ نہیں کرتے, وہ پریس ریلیز نہیں ہوتی. اٹ از ان یوزول اینڈ ایکسٹرا آرڈنری ارینجمنٹ کہ انہوں نے میرے ساتھ کھڑے ہو کے, ہمارے کاؤنٹر پارٹ نے, وی شوڈ اپریشیٹ. بجائے یہ کہ اگر ہم ایسی چیزوں پہ کرٹیکل ہوں گے تو جو اس کا پازیٹیوٹی ہے وہ انڈیا تو بھیجے گا ان کو. دیکھے آپ نے تو بڑا, پرائم منسٹر صاحب سے میری میٹنگ ہوئی, مجھے بتایا کہ وہ بہت تھوڑی میٹنگ کرتے ہیں. اٹ واز ایلیبوریٹ میٹنگ ود پرائم منسٹر. اس کے بعد ڈی پی ایم سے میٹنگ ہوئی, ان کی پوری کیبنٹ کے جتنے مین ونگز تھے وہ سارے تھے, اور پھر متقی صاحب سے میٹنگ ہوئی. تو میں تو اس کو بہت اپریشیٹ کرتا ہوں. ہمیں دیکھ, ہم نے رہنا ہے ایک دوسرے کے ساتھ, اور ہماری جو بہتری ہے ان کے لیے بہتری ہے اور ہمارے لیے بہتری ہے. سو گورنمنٹ اینڈ دی اسٹیک ہولڈرس دے ڈیسائیڈڈ کہ وی شوڈ ری انگیج, اور اس کے نتیجے میں گیا, اور وزٹ واز ایبسولوٹلی فائن. اور میں نے یہاں آ کے آپ کو نہیں بتایا کہ وہاں میں کیا کہہ رہا ہوں. میرے